welcome in as Show and BK and Stephen Serda. We're back, but the show is called Show and BK, and we are back. It's been a little bit, and we're getting close to draft season, and we've got to, we want to make you want us a little bit, right? We're not rolling. I'm live here in Indianapolis. Never been to Indianapolis. First timer. Went to St. Elmo Steakhouse last night. The shrimp cocktail sauce it was good to me. I enjoyed it. It is a little spicy. They really run through the horseradish. I mean, really run through it. It is but it's very tasty, very spicy.
Are you a spicy guy? Like, do you like spicy food?
I like a good spicy. I really do. I like some spicy foods. I'm a fan of it. Serda, you used to, but it makes you pay. You can't eat it anymore because
I love spicy foods, and then I got into my 30s and started getting heartburn and acid reflux. I don't really eat spicy food so much anymore. I still do. Every now and then there's things that I'm willing to pay the price for, but I try to stay away from them for the most part. Like jalapenos, just can't eat jalapenos ever anymore.
And for me personally, I was blessed to thinking I had acid reflux, but no, it was a gallbladder that needed to be removed. And now I don't feel it. I can just run in. I could drink a bottle of Cholula. Oh, I can squirt sriracha right down my pipes in my veins. give me the jalapenos. I will take that.
My gallbladder checked out.
I'm telling you, man, it was a lease on life. I just
like, no, there's nothing you can do to fix it. I was like, I mean, I'm eating pretty healthy and working out, and
there's not a medication you can
you're
take?
You're just old. There's not really anything that's gonna,
like Tums. You can't just pop some Tums after.
It's like, well, you can take that stuff. It'll help a little bit, but it's just like not gonna go away. Probably.
There's like legit not a medication you can take.
She's just like, it's just what happens when you get older.
I believe that, doctors. There's got to be a medication, and that I will not believe. There has to be something you can do.
Like, what are they called? Like the Nexium stuff that people take supposedly helps. I don't know. I have like heartburn pills if I get it really bad, but I'm pretty good at watching what I eat now, so it doesn't hit me that bad. When I drink beer, it comes in sometimes.
Yeah, I got it all. I got it all out, baby. I'm telling you, man, I can just eat it all, baby. That was. I don't even know if that's going to hit your heart. It came through the nose for me. Like it came, like I cleared sinuses. Like, have you ever had one of them like Listerine sticks that you can just lay on your tongue?
I hate those things.
I love them. Flushes out. That's what it felt like.
Man. My God.
I talked to the lady. She said, "Oh, there are people who just want you to bring bowls of the little horseradish sauce and they like to spread it on their bread." No, that I said, well, that's a little aggressive. I don't want to do that.
People do that. I'm not that surprised by that.
Yeah, I don't think I want to do that, but no, man, it's a good time. Indy's not bad. Everything it is a great city to host stuff because everything is walkable, everything is close. San Francisco did the Super Bowl suck. The stadium
was terrible for hosting. Miami's an awesome city, don't get me wrong, but everything's just so spread out because you've got stuff up in Fort Lauderdale and then coming all the way down. It's a lot. Yeah, I remember John Clayton at the time. We talked to John Clayton. Real quick story.
We lost John.
We were at the hotel for the Chiefs hotel, and he was like, "This is the worst Super Bowl I've ever been to. I got to talk to them. These buses, they've got to get taken care of. This is unruly. This is impossible." He was so mad, dude. And John Clayton. Ron, have you ever met him before?
I've not met John Clayton, but I've heard.
The most gentle and kind human being you'll ever meet until he gets into that spot, and then he's
everybody's got everybody's got a spot. Everybody's got a spot. Oh man. No, but yeah, man, it's cool, man. We're down here for the festivities, and if we get back to, I guess, our business. Draft coming up, but before we get to the draft conversation, because I'm telling you, I'm a little concerned about something. The Chiefs did make a move. Who did they bring in, Serda? Who did they bring in a position of need? Kaiir Elam.
Kaiir Elam.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I saw that move, and he's a former first-round pick, right? Where did he go to school? Where did he go to? Florida? Yeah, former first-round pick, and only thing I remember is, and he's been flipped around some teams. The only thing I remember is he was with Buffalo. They did not want to play him in the AFC Championship game. Then they played their best corner, who they had no business playing, because I don't know what concussion protocol he passed that week, but the way he had to be buckled into that golf cart when they drove him off after he took a shot to the head let me further know that old 47 shouldn't have been out there. They put him in the game, and every one of the Chiefs receivers took out a spatula, had themselves a nice frying pan, and they cooked his ass left and right. I'm talking 5-8 yards of separation from Hollywood Brown, who was injured at the time, and Hollywood Brown from Worthy. It was where's the duck? Any third down and mediums, they just took him apart. He was penalized multiple times. I mean, I remember Tony Romo just felt bad for him. That's the same Elam that we're talking about? Is that who they brought in? And your silly ass loves it. Well, I need you to help me out with this, BK, because I need you. Listen, hey, let's pull the carpet or the curtain back real quick. I kind of know what these guys, for the most part, in many moments, I know what their thoughts are. I'll give it away. BK likes the move. I need some help because that's the only thing I remember from him. I promise you I did not pay a lot of attention to him last year, but I don't think he played very much last year. So, I mean, I got to get an understanding why you like this move, BK.
Okay, so let me say on the front and let me soften this just a little bit. I like it for what it is. It's a cheap, like, bare bones. See, I can't imagine he costs anything for the Chiefs. It's probably mostly non-guaranteed money. But he is a talented player. Now, you've got to extract that talent. He was a first-round pick for a reason. He's got size, he's got speed, he's got length. These are all things that the Chiefs really like in their corners. He's a true outside guy as well. So, like, he might be, like, end of the day, your Joshua Williams replacement. That might ultimately be the role that he's in, where he's like the number 4 corner going into the upcoming season. That's probably the overwhelming likelihood. However, we've seen the Chiefs go out there and find guys in the past that are not expected to be a whole lot or that weren't able to cut it elsewhere. And then they come into this system, work with Dave Merritt, work with Steve Spagnuolo, get the help that is the scheme that the Chiefs run, and they suddenly become the best versions of themselves. Like, think about Bashaud Breeland, who the year before coming to Kansas City just was not good and was not healthy for Green Bay. Comes to KC, was mostly great that first season, was fine the second season, and then a year later on was out of football. Like, just couldn't catch on anywhere else, did not have a whole lot of success anywhere else. So there's something about this scheme, there's something about the coaching in Kansas City. They get the most out of this kind of a corner. So that's why I'm interested in it, to see what is going to come out of this. If he had signed basically anywhere else, I'd be like, yeah, that's probably not going to work. I'm not really all that interested in Kaiir Elam. Signing in Kansas City, though, I think they're going to be able to get something out of him, and I think he's going to play some meaningful reps for the Chiefs this year. How many? I have no idea, but at a certain point in time, you're going to have to go to that number 3, number 4 corner, and I think he'll play okay for the Chiefs this year.
I said camp body, so we're not looking at a camp body. You think he is going? You think he is potentially going to play a role? I hope to be wrong. I mean, you are
corners for this team.
I know, but I know. Like, he feels like he adds and slots in behind some of them. Like right now, right? Like, and I'll let Steve get in here because I'm serious. I'm like, what are we doing here? This must be they're getting bodies. They're getting camp bodies, taking a flyer on somebody. And you're really leaning in on Dave Merritt. I mean, really leaning in on him on Spags. Now, I understand that there is some – they've got a resume and they've had some fixes. But, damn, man, this is – I don't know. He's 24 years old, so he is young. But, how many corners on this team do you slot ahead of him? Like, what are the corners? You say these corners I would put ahead of Elam right now. Noah Williams.
Jamari Conner is probably going to be in the mix.
I think he's a safety for you right now.
Yeah, he's not a corner. Stop.
I think he's still gonna be floating back and forth.
I think they signed Kohu to be the new.
You're trying to piss me off. Kohu, yes, who they signed to be the slot, right? And
I think it's Fulton and Noel Williams. Those are the two guys right now on the roster that are, I think, ahead of him. I think that's it. As outside corners for the Kansas City Chiefs right now.
Well, and I mean, you trade Trent McDuffie, you lose Jalen Watson. Like Joshua Williams wasn't really a factor in the secondary last year, anyways. But that's three guys from that draft class that were on the team for several years that gave you meaningful snaps. Like I know Joshua Williams kind of like just became a punchline at the end, but he played meaningful snaps for the Chiefs at times and was like a solid player for them when he had to. But that was going to be the biggest thing. It's you're trimming parts of the roster to try to find ways to get the parts of the roster that you need to get good again, and the parts that you deem is more important, which I mean, BK's right. Like, when's the last time? Like, I think the Chiefs secondary last year was as bad as it's been in a long time. And they've always kind of gotten the most out of whoever they throw back there. And then we got a few years of like really elite cornerback play. And it's just never been that bad with Spags and Dave Merritt. Like, they've always gotten the most out of that group. And so there's got to be an investment here. And Kaiir Elam, I don't think he's a very good player, but he's the prototype of what this team has done before. They love former first round picks with athletic traits that they're like, we can get you in the building and we can put you in a better situation than you've been in before. Like, we've seen them do this over and over again. So this isn't anything out of the norm for the Chiefs. It's just that they got to get some bodies in the secondary and get some guys in there. And I think that's going to come in the draft too. But also, like Noel Williams, like we're really banking on him right now. Like we're really banking on Noel Williams to take a huge step in year number 2. And I think he showed a lot of promise in year 1, but also they wouldn't put him on the field that much for whatever reason. So I don't know if the Kaiir Elam thing's going to work out. It's just that out of any position group on the defense, they have always gotten the most out of secondary players.
Ron, to me, this is basically the Tyquan Thornton of corner. Like you're hoping that the draft pedigree and what you're able to do with coaching and schematically, you're able to get more out of him in Kansas City than what others were able to get out of him elsewhere because of what you have that they don't. And what the Chiefs have, and it is their, in my opinion, their market and efficiency, is a cornerback coach that is able to get the most out of everybody and a defensive coordinator who specializes in that position as well. And this all goes back to the draft as well, where I'm not into the Chiefs drafting a corner in the top 30. I don't think they should take one in the first round. I think that goes against everything that they've done this offseason. Like the reason why they can get away with trading Trent McDuffie for this draft capital and why they don't have to pay him is because they can do these things. They can go out there and draft Noel Williams in the 3rd round. They can draft L'Jarius Sneed late. They can draft they can go get Charvarius Ward basically via like day 3 draft compensation after he was going to be cut by the Dallas Cowboys, and he becomes a stud for them. They've done this over and over and over again, and I think they're going to continue to do so. Will they miss on some of these guys? Of course they will. Maybe Kaiir Elam ends up being a miss. That's probable, but
Christian Fulton looked like a miss last year, and now they're really going to lean on him this season.
I just believe in their ability to get the most out of corners, more so than literally any other position on the roster. I trust this coaching staff to do so. So that's why I wouldn't lean into the first round, because you don't need to. You can find these guys in the middle round, 2nd, 3rd, 4th round to become starters in year 1 for you.
I don't know that I 100% agree with that. I think they've had great success. The most success is Trent McDuffie, who was a 1st-round pick. Right, you could argue was their best corner in this run of corners that they've gone after. But also, I think you got to take into account they've got 3 premium picks. Right, it's not just one; they've got 3 picks in the top 40. And maybe if they didn't, you could go back and say, "All right, man, we'll dig in the 3rd round." But I mean, they've got 3 picks in the top 40. They're pretty solid to me on the offensive line. they are pretty solid to me when it comes to the running back room, probably the linebacker room, at least in the space of not drafting that early to get a linebacker with 3 picks in the top 40. A cornerback is a spot that is a premium position that to me, I'm like, all right, if you're going to use a corner, if you're going to use picks on really things that you will need now and now in the future, I would look and think one of those are at the cornerback position. Now, maybe it's 40, and that's fine. Maybe one of I would feel different if they just had, the regular. We got a first, we got a second, but they got 3 in the top 40. So I don't
also
know.
Have big needs though, man. Like it's not just corner. I think corner is actually less of a need right now. And I know this kind of dovetails into one of your conversations that you want to have today, but defensive end's a bigger issue right now for this team than cornerback is. And I could make a pretty strong argument that wide receiver is every bit as big of a concern for them, not only for this year, but beyond. And those are positions where I don't have the same trust in this team extracting the most value out of them. So you need the premium talent at defensive end and at wide receiver to be able to maximize what you get there. I don't feel the same way at corner. You look at what they've done since 2019. They drafted Rashad Fenton in the 6th round. That worked out, all things considered. They took L'Jarius Sneed in the 4th round, home run. Jalen Watson in the 7th, great pick. Joshua Williams in the 4th. I know it fizzled out, as Serda said, but it was a good pick nonetheless. Shamari Connor in the 4th. They missed on Kamal Hayden, but that's basically the one, and he was a 6th round pick. And then Noel Williams last year looks like a hit in the 3rd round. They're really, really good at this, man, and they get huge value out of middle round picks, late day 2, early day 3. I would be targeting it in the same kind of spot this year. I would be looking at the earliest pick 40, but probably more likely starting at 72 because you've got other needs that you need to target with those first 3 selections, in my opinion.
We can get it. If they draft a corner with I would, like you named receiver and pass rusher, I agree. That's 2. One of those could still be a corner. If they came out of those top 3 picks, those top 40 picks with a receiver, a pass rusher, and a corner, I would think they have come out pretty good with that scenario because those are their needs, and all of those have now started to become premium positions.
And just specifically the corners, like there's just some teams that they're really good at evaluating certain position groups. They're really good at developing those position groups. And that's why the Chiefs have continuously been able to flip these guys for assets and then do it again. And they've done it again, like with Sneed and McDuffie specifically. And Watson, he just was a 7th round pick, and he was a home run 7th round pick who just got a huge contract from the Rams because the Rams probably would have been the best team in football last year if it wasn't for the fact that their secondary is one of the worst in the NFL. And so they totally revitalized their secondary with the Chiefs secondary because the Chiefs have just been the best team in the NFL at finding and utilizing those kinds of players. So if there's one thing about this team, in all the questions that I have heading into the season about offense and Mahomes' health and actual revitalization of the roster and a youth movement, I at least feel confident that they're going to figure it out in the secondary, even if it looks ugly for part of the season while they get there.
Yeah. The cornerback situation is interesting. We'll see where Elam. Listen, I hope that it can be a piece. I feel like there's going to be a corner that they draft that's going to slide in ahead of him too. So that unless he plays his way, he's 24, he's young, he's got. Nothing about him that he has shown when I've watched him that he ran a 4.39 40, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. They bring him in, they add him to the mix. I'm going to tell you right now, and you kind of hint towards this, BK. I am starting to, by the day, grow more and more concerned with what I said walking into the Chiefs offseason was their number one issue, the number one thing I felt like they needed to fix, the number one issue they had, and that was the pass rush. And I feel pretty confident. I believe first and second round picks are premium picks. And so the Chiefs have 3 of them right now. I totally believe that the Chiefs are going to address defensive end, pass rusher, edge rusher with one of those premium picks. But I have continued to say they need more than just that pick. I don't care if it's 9. They need more than just Bailey or Bain or whoever it is. Like they need, to me, to add a veteran and then go after it in the draft to get younger there. And right now they have added the cat from New England, and he's an interior guy that may be able to push the pocket, but that is not. They have not added anybody thus far with experience to jump in and be an edge rusher or a pass rusher. So much so that somehow Felix, and maybe this is just what you're seeing on ESPN.com, but somehow Felix has slipped himself into a starting lineup, and followed by a Cooper McDonald. Okay, and Ashton Gelati is the third pass rusher or first. That ain't it. Okay, that's
an ESPN issue. Cooper McDonald's not even an edge rusher.
I know it, but I'm just saying they're at a loss. They're at a loss that they're putting. They're at a loss that they're putting somebody that you looked up there. That guy's 6'3", 240. Hell, let's throw him in there. Like, they're at a loss because they don't have anyone clear right there. I know they're going to add, but we're getting here to a point where it is now April. And there are still some cats out there, like Cam Jordan. You've heard some rumors is still out there. And I would feel better with an addition of Cam Jordan. Joey Bosa is still out there. I'd feel better with the addition of Cam Jordan or Joey Bosa and one of these edge rushers. Like, I would. But right now, it doesn't seem like they're moving quick to get this done. And for me, Serda and BK, even if they draft, if they use 2 of them, which I feel like BK would rather them do than the draft a corner. If they use 2 of those picks on pass rushers, still, man, we've seen this league. You don't generally have guys come out and come right in, and even the best ones, and become exactly the type of pass rusher, dependable pass rusher that they need. The most likely thing you're looking at it is probably similar production to what Georgia gave you. Like that rookie year. And I'm just saying, with that help, yes. But this is a team that is still Super Bowl or nothing else matters. And you're sitting here right now today going into the draft feeling desperate. That's one thing we always thought about Brett Veacham. Like, they're going to make some moves, but they're going to put themselves in a position to where they're not desperate at any position. I feel like they're desperate right now at pass rusher, and everybody knows it.
I agree. I think it's the most likely spot they're going to draft at number 9 overall right now. I would argue that. I also think there's a chance, like, if they don't get it at number 9, I think there's a chance it's 29 and 40. To answer your question, Ron, would I rather do that than go with a cornerback in the top 40? I personally would. I think it's a great edge rusher class. And if you could walk out with like TJ Parker and Zion Young, or Keldrick Falk and Gabe Akis, like that would be fine in my estimation, or Malachi Lawrence and Keldrick Falk. I think that would be a good draft for the Chiefs. Now, is that a little bit of overkill? Sure, but think about the way that this team has approached things in the past. They see an issue and then they take a sledgehammer to the fly. That's what they did at the running back position, where they said, no more, we now have an answer. Kenneth Walker is that answer, right? You look at what they've done at the offensive line in the past. Like, they say, never again, we're going to add as much depth as humanly possible. Well, the pass rush was a huge problem for them last year. They go out and, for the first time, make a real significant investment in the nose tackle position with Tonga. And then if they go out there and add a couple of premium draft picks, the way that they have at like the cornerback position a few years ago, you could end up having Chris, Tonga, George, and then those 2 defensive ends. That's your new top 5 guys along your defensive line. Now you've got Felix and Gelati as backup players. Omar Norman Lott coming in obvious pass rush situations. I mean, that is the look of what Seattle had last year. I think this is something that at least I took away from their run, Ron. They didn't have like this guy is a top 5 pass rusher in the NFL type of player on their roster. They just had a bunch of dudes that were really good. And on any play, any of them can win. And I think that's something that the Chiefs can model themselves after is maybe we don't have one guy outside of Chris that you could write in pin as a 10-plus sack guy, but we've got 5 dudes that could finish the year with 6 sacks apiece. And I think that is the kind of thing you'd see if they go in this direction. I'd totally be fine with that personally.
But that's fine. But I will also say, Serda, when you bring up Seattle, they had Leonard Williams, who they feel is a pass rusher, and they did add some young guys, but they also added Dexter Lawrence. They added a guy that was a pass rusher that you knew that you had a pretty good idea if he's healthy what you were going to get.
And you didn't need him to play every single snap. So many bodies.
Now maybe you think George is that, and maybe that's what you're saying, that George is that DeMarcus Lawrence, and then just add the young guys. I think there's still a space to add your Cam Jordan or something to add that and then bring in the piece. I don't like to me. So I don't know, Steve.
You know where I stand on Cam Jordan. I would be totally fine if they decided to sign Cam Jordan. I still wouldn't shut the door on trading for the Giants edge rusher as well. I'd be open to Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm not ready to just say, hey, that's completely shut yet. But yeah, I think George can be that guy that gets you, 8 to 10 sacks and you write it down in pen. And that's basically where DeMarcus Lawrence ended up this year. He got the 6 with Seattle.
I do think this year, like, it is different. Like, this version, I think, is different than anything that we've seen them try to do before, where it's like, they have an obvious need at pass rush. And I'm very concerned about the answer to that because Chris Jones is older now and he's not the same type of player. But like in years past, when they've been able to do this and like pull this off, it was always because like you go get Frank Clark. Like, you're doing that because you had a younger roster then. Now you're older and you're still trying to hang on to Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. And I'm not saying I want them to go anywhere, but you got to just get some more juice. Like, you got to revitalize this and you got to commit to it at some point. And I still think that Chris Jones is going to be one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. I think he's going to be one of the best interior pass rushers in all of the league next season. But on a down-to-down basis, like, it's pretty indisputable that he's starting to slow down at this age, and that's inevitable. So, like, the Chiefs at number 9, like, you have to go pass rush in my mind. You've got to get this figured out, and I think they can, like BK said, with that, like, kind of Seattle model where it's just, hey, we got a really good coaching staff. We got Joe Cullen. We got Steve Spagnuolo. Like, we're going to figure this out. But we just got to get some young bodies in here and some athletic bodies in here that we can move around and utilize as chess pieces to go get after a quarterback.
Well, hold on. Well, BK, and both of you would be comfortable at this point if what they did was 2 of those top 40 picks is they drafted edge rushers. Let's say Bain or
what choice do we have?
Whatever. But I'm just saying.
So
well, I think there are other choices. There are choices like BK brought up with Thibodeau. There are choices of signing Bosa or Jordan.
Guy like who doesn't want to go through off-season stuff, doesn't want to go through training camp and stuff like that. Like, they'll probably show interest in a player like that at some point down the line.
I'm just asking you. You would be comfortable if, all right, the way that we have decided to address what I felt was the number 1 need was their pass rush is the Tonga, who they got from New England, draft 2 of the, let's say they draft at 9 and at 40. They draft 2 edge rushers or pass rushers there. You would be comfortable with them handling their pass rush situation that way in the offseason.
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. I think that's actually a really good way to go about it. I looked at the contracts that were given out this offseason, and most of them I thought were significant overpays. Like Boyamafe got $20 million a year. I thought he was like a $12 to $15 million a year type of a pass rusher. He is, I would say, on a good hell. Just look back at what he was for Seattle, right? He's like the third or fourth best pass rusher on that team. The Chiefs needed him to be like a true starter, a starting caliber defensive end. If you're paid $20 million a year, you should be expected to be that. And so I just don't think that would have been the best use of their resources in free agency. Now, if they can bring in Cam Jordan on a incentive-laden veteran contract, something like that, I'm all for it. I have nothing against that plan. If Cam Jordan decides, I don't think that's the spot for me, he wants to play elsewhere geographically, taxes, whatever the reason being, and they don't have that open for them, well, there's not really another option available out there right now. Like the only other legit upgrade they could go out and get on free agency is Jadeveon Clowney. I would once again be open to trading for somebody as well. If you could get a Kayvon Thibodeau, yeah, I'm good with that. But to answer your question directly, would I be cool with them taking a defensive end at 29 and 40 or 9 and 40? Yes. Do I think they should do that at both of their first round picks? I'm certainly not as opposed as you are to doing so, but I am also very worried about wide receiver. And I do think you're going to have a pretty good option at one of those two spots to be able to select a wide receiver. So I'd probably lean more in that direction at one of those two picks as opposed to taking both first rounders at the edge position.
You're rolling with us on YouTube. We appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. Don't be selfish. If you're there, like and subscribe, share, please, as showing BK is riding live right now on Foolish Club Media. Let's kind of look into the draft spot at 9 in particular. That's going to be the talk. We've talked about that player needs to be a player that makes an immediate impact and somebody that longevity, like this isn't just a 1-year deal. This is a guy that you expect to be around and be a big part of your team, whether it's on offense or defense, for years to come. And what is the most valuable thing there? What is it? Because they can go a ton of different directions. There may be an option to go safety. There may be an option to go lineman. We've seen there may be an option to go edge rusher. Multiple edge rushers that could be there. Wide receiver. There could be options to go in a hill if you want to get real frisky. There may be Sonny Styles. There may be a linebacker situation where you can go, right? They have a lot of different spaces, and we'll see how it shakes out in front of them. I feel like running back and quarterback are the only two spots where you feel like they're not going to go with. Hell, who knows? If Jeremiah Love is sitting there, maybe they just may feel possessed. That'd be a little overkill. But like you don't know which way they're going to go. What seems to be the most valuable to you?
Man, I'm so curious to see what they do here, Ron, because I think it is a classic. Like the Chiefs are maybe the most interesting top 10 pick to me. And that's not just because we obviously follow this team closely, but they can either, and this is kind of what the draft is in 2026, go with a premium position where they're betting on a high floor, but maybe a lower ceiling. You're not getting a superstar, most likely, out of that pick. Or a non-premium position where maybe the floor isn't that high. You're not sure what you're getting, but the ceiling is really high. So let me explain this a little bit with examples. Like Sonny Styles. He's the linebacker out of Ohio State. I don't know if he's going to be there when the Chiefs pick or not, but it's an off-ball linebacker. There's at least a chance that he could be. He is a ridiculous athlete, and he also has some value as a blitzer as well. So, like, they could use him in every possible situation. But it's an off-ball linebacker, and there are only like 3 or 4 in the NFL that really matter in a meaningful way. So is that really the position you want to do? I don't know. But if he can become one of those 3 or 4 guys that really matter, man, that opens up so much for this defense. So that's one example of what I'm talking about. I would say Caleb Downs is another one of those guys. The floor is, man, everything he did in college was based on instincts. It was based on intelligence. And he's not a super high-level athlete like Eric Berry was or like Derwin James is. And so you end up just kind of getting a mediocre safety. The ceiling, though, is that stuff's real, and he becomes one of the top safeties in the NFL. So there's a big gap between what the ceiling and the floor is there. Meanwhile, I'm going to use the guy that everybody seems to be in love with right now. Everybody wants Ruben Bain, right? And yet, every scouting report that I read on Ruben Bain says, yeah, I'd be really surprised if he's not a 6-sack a guy or 6-sack a year type of a player. And most people say, kind of like Brandon Graham, like a 6 to 10 sack a year type of a player, which is a good player, otherwise known as George Karlaftis. And so would Chiefs fans be okay with that as the number 9 pick this year? There's value in it, obviously. George Karlaftis is a good player, the likes of which the Chiefs decided to keep around long-term for a reason. He was also a late first-round pick instead of being the number 9 overall pick. So, Ron, I'm struggling with this, honestly. I think Carnell Tate's kind of the same thing. I think he's a good player. I'm not sure what the ceiling is there, especially in this offense where you don't utilize that downfield threat as often as some of these other teams do across the league. So I'll kick this back to you to answer your question with yet another question. What do you value more? Do you value the ceiling at a non-premium position or the floor at a premium position more?
I value the ceiling of a great player, right? Like, and I don't know. I like, depending on what you view as premium position or not. Like, I know maybe off-ball linebacker is one, and safety you don't. But I like when you're drafting in the top 10, and I don't think the Chiefs are going to draft in the top 10. That's why the previous conversation of what they've put themselves in when it comes to their pass rushing situation frustrates me, because they feel like they are in a space to draft for need. Like, they feel like they're in a space where we're a Super Bowl or nothing team.
They had a lot of needs though.
We're a Super Bowl, yeah, but I don't even think it. But again, as I've said before, if you had something else to go along with Chris and George, then it wouldn't feel as much. And I'm not saying nothing great. I mean, I'm like, we talked about it. We've mentioned the name Cam Jordan is a guy that had 10 plus sacks last year. You got me another player that I know is going to get 7 to 8 sacks or more to go along with Chris and George. That changes everything. Right now, they got to find that player, and the likelihood is that player is potentially that guy at 9 than he is at 29 or 40 or worse. So it feels like they put themselves in that position. What I feel is, when you're drafting this high and you're the Chiefs, and the likelihood that you're going to draft this high in the next decade with Patrick Mahomes is fairly low. This just all came together. You got to get a great player. Like, you got to get a great player, because I think the Chiefs can find a lot of solid players. They've done it in a lot of different positions. They can find a solid right tackle. They can find a solid corner. They can find a solid safety. Like, we've seen them win Super Bowls and be able to find players that are solid. They got to find a great player, a player that can be a special piece if they're drafted this high, because they don't really have the ability to get those players this early in the draft because of how good their team is generally.
I think that, as I've already said, like, it's like pass rush or bust for me at 9.
Why or bust? That feels,
because, like, I think you can find talented edge players like later in the draft, but the odds are a lot lower than other positions. And there's some teams that have been really good at it. The Chiefs have been okay at finding serviceable players, but that's part of the problem, is that most of the time those guys are just serviceable players. They're not guys that wind up turning into legitimate, like, monster difference makers, like a Max Crosby or a Matthew Judon or something, like a guy who was a mid-round pick who winds up becoming one of the better pass rushers in the NFL. Like, I don't think the Chiefs are in a position right now at the pass rush where they can gamble on that. So it's like if the pass rusher that is there at 9 is the top guy that you have on the board, like absolutely confidently take him. I would also honestly, like, we're all probably in agreement that Arvell Reese is not going to be there at 9 for the Kansas City Chiefs. If Sonny Styles is there, I would be pretty happy with them taking Sonny Styles. I just think he can be that type of difference maker. And I think with the way the NFL is playing right now and the way defenses are playing the passing game and the running game being like so a much bigger part, and we're seeing like this revitalization of the rushing attack in the NFL right now. Their linebacker situation has just been underwhelming for a long time. And Nick Bolton's a fine player. And that's not me shitting on Nick Bolton, because I know a lot of people like to do that. I like Nick Bolton as a player. But Sonny Styles would be the type of guy that, man, like that dude is just going to be fun to have on your defense. Like having a legit freak athlete linebacker that can cover the whole field, that can do a dozen different things for you defensively. Like, I think it would be really fun for Steve Spagnuolo to have a type of player like that on his defense.
Yeah, I think he's really interesting. I would just say this, like, I agree with you in theory, Serda, that I would like them to take an edge rusher at 9, but I think there's only 2 edge rushers in this class that are worth the 9th overall selection. I think it's David Bailey and Ruben Bain. And if those guys aren't there, then you can't force it. Like, you don't just take Keldrick Falk at 9.
Yeah.
Just to say you took an edge rusher, you know?
Like, I'm hoping one of the 3 is there at 9, but it is seeming like less and less likely as we like move throughout the draft process that they're going to be there.
Is there any receiver that turns you on more than any of those 3 pass rushers? Because I think that's a space too. Is there a
I think Carnell Tate would be fun, but it's not like Carnell Tate's not like Jeremiah Smith. Like, if Jeremiah Smith was there, like easy lock, that dude's going to be a top 5 pick when he's draft eligible. But like, I would have fun with the Carnell Tate pick. I wouldn't be mad about it, but I wouldn't be like over the moon like I would for one of those picks.
Here's where I struggle with it, Ron. I like Tate, Lemon, and Tyson for very different reasons. I don't really like the other receivers that are going to be there in the late 20s or into the 2nd round. And so this is a spot where I do think that the Chiefs, as much as they need to take an edge at 9, man, the talent actually matches up better with you taking a receiver at 9 and then defensive end at 29 and or 40. Because there are a ton of edge rushers that I still like once you get into the late 1st round. Like, if Keldrick Falk is still there, he makes a ton of sense for the Chiefs. TJ Parker is made in a lab for Steve Spagnuolo. Zion Young, I watched him a ton at Mizzou. That guy, again, made in a lab for Steve Spagnuolo. Gabe Yaakis, he's just an ass kicker coming off of the edge. Malachi Lawrence is, some people really love him, other people don't, but he's another guy that can go in that range. I just don't love the receivers there. So to answer your question, do I like the receivers at 9? Yes. I don't love any of them, though. They're all just like, they've all got different warts specifically for what the Chiefs do. Mekhi Lemon, I think, is exclusively a slot, which is fine, but what's the usage this year if you end up getting positive returns from Rashee Rice? I don't know. Carnell Tate, I think, is a really good player, but is he just going to be MVS in this system? Because he's an outside guy that really wins with more like deep down the field plays. I don't know how that plays here. So that gets us to Jordan Tyson, who I think is probably the best of both worlds, but is the guy made out of glass? That's the concern with him. And if he can't stay on the field, it doesn't actually do anything for you. So I'm curious where you're coming from on this one. Do you love one of these wide receivers this year?
There's going to be risk. Lemon, I'm out. I can't draft a slot at 9. Now he may turn to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't know, but if I'm drafting at 9 and I'm the Chiefs, and for the Chiefs,
they use Rashee Rice now.
Sure, you got him in the 4th round, 2nd round. Jesus, I keep backing that round up, don't I? But I look at even Rasheed is a bigger body than Lemon is. Like he's a bigger body guy that can play outside. Right? We've seen him outside. He can play outside. They just use him there because he's really, really good there. Right? And they got speed on the outside. That is hard for me to go there. And Carnell Tate, he's good, but I do think for what he does, I could see him, as you said, MVS. I love the Jordan Tyson kid because, one, I love his size, which is a little different than what they have. He's great contesting catches, but he's not just big and can contest catches. He runs all of the routes. He runs screens from the slot, from the outside. He runs slants. He runs dig routes. He runs, and he may be the best route runner in the draft. And I was watching and like he uses his like stutter steps and stuff that he does off the line. Like he uses it really, really well to create separation. And he, like when I say runs all the routes, the Chiefs with their wide receivers, they want to run crossers. They want to run digs. They want to run screens. I think they want to do a lot of different things that aren't just down the field stuff. And I think he can play all of the spots. He's played outside. He's played slot. He's interchangeable, like I think Andy likes to have, right? So the injury thing is a thing. He had a bad knee injury when he was at Colorado, but he came back from that. He's had this hamstring situation that seems to be an issue, but hopefully, and it's taken a chance. The injury part for me is the thing with him. Now, it's like hamstrings. It's not like he's Greg Oden, right? Or he has something like a bad back and a knee that's just going to flare up. It's kind of soft tissue stuff. I'm willing to take the chance on the guy. When I look at it, for me, I look at Carnell Tate and say, what's Carnell Tate look like when he doesn't have Jeremiah Smith on the other side? Or he doesn't have all of those receivers with him? And is he just MVS? It's a big body. Lemon, he's a small slot. You already got a slot potentially, but he's a small slot that is limited. And do you want to take a slot that early, right? The best slots we've seen ain't been taken that early, right? And then you have another guy who's gets injury stuff, but runs everything. It can go and I don't know, man. That to me, the ceiling of what he could be, like I almost like that more than I like Ruben Bain. And I know how you all feel about Ruben Bain. Like I watched Ruben Bain's game. Like I don't feel like a deal of like if that dude stays healthy and he's here for the next 4 years, that's going to be a double sack, like a double-digit sack guy. I don't feel comfortable with saying that. There's a lot of George in him, to be frank with you. But if you tell me Jordan Tyson with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Kenneth Walker and, the cast that they have, let's say it's Rice, let's say it's Worthy, we'll see what Kelsey is at least for 1 year. I think that dude's going to make a major impact if he stays healthy. And I think his ceiling to go is higher than that. Now, I changed my mind if somehow David Bailey falls. That's a different animal. That dude is nuts. That's, to me, the best pass rusher in the draft. But I don't know. I'm going more ceiling to get a great player.
I think that's kind of how I'm leaning on this one as well, Ron, because you're going to have access to good players every year. When you draft where the Chiefs do, late first round, there's always going to be good players there, right? And the difference with picking number 9, and this draft just doesn't have a ton of access to these guys, regardless of where you're drafting, unfortunately. There's just not a ton of blue chippers here. Number 9 overall, you're supposed to have access to that high ceiling. Like, this is the place where you get superstars. You get guys that can be 15 plus sacks a year, or 1,000+ yard wide receivers annually, or linebackers that are difference makers. Like, that kind of stuff exists in this spot in the draft, and only when you pick in this spot in the draft. So am I really going to settle for something less than when I'm picking here? Like, am I going to settle for high floor, but hey, man, at least he plays a good position? Or do I aim for that ceiling? And you know what? You might miss. And sometimes that's the cost of doing business. I think after hearing you talk, Ron, and thinking about this on my own as well previously, like, I think you aim for that ceiling.
Yep.
I don't know that Mekhi Lemon is that guy. I think he's a good player. I understand how he can fit into this offense. I would get the pick if they decide to make it there. It's not the pick I would go with there. I understand how you could end up settling on, one of the tackles. It's not the direction that I would go in, though.
Please
Go
no.
try for a Sonny Styles. Go try for a Caleb Downs. Go try for a Jordan Tyson. Try for the cornerback that hasn't played football in 18 months, right? Like, I'm not in favor of drafting one of those corners, but hey, man, if you really do think he would have gone like number 2 overall had he been healthy, yeah, I understand the pick. So aim for that upside, go out there and try to get yourself a superstar because you're not going to have access to these guys in the future.
Yeah, like pass rusher is extremely important. Receiver is extremely important too, and I think those are places that they need to get guys in. But if that son of a gun is Kyle Hamilton, like like that is a piece that Spags can use. He loves safety. That's a piece that Spags can use in a major way, and you still got 29 and 40 to kind of figure things out. So I would to me, I'll be honest with you, I'm getting lesser and lesser and is impressed with Ruben Bain. That's why I wish they didn't put themselves in this position. I think I have a pretty clear understanding that Caleb Downs is going to be really, really good. Like he's going to be a Pro Bowl player, and with Spags, he's going to be a Pro Bowl player. And with Spags, I don't know that I can say that about Ruben Bain.
Ruben Bain, I don't think is going to be there, by the way. Like that's maybe the biggest part to all of this conversation. Yeah. I just don't think he's going to be on the board.
I think he's going to be gone too.
Cool. That's cool. All right. Again, like and subscribe if you're rolling with us on YouTube, please, and share. Let the folks know. I wanted to get your thoughts about Andy Reid and his comments about his new toy, Kenneth Walker. He made a couple of comments about his new running back. He told Jesse Newell of The Athletic. He said he adds another element to the offense, another something you can throw at the defense, which is important. He is legit. He can take it the distance every time he touches the ball. That's the threat that you need to have. He also said he's a good football player and it won't change. He's not going to change coming in to us, Reid said. He also said he is still going to be a good football player as long as he stays healthy and moves forward. Good things can happen for you. We know that the running game is important, and we've got a good offensive line in front of him, so that will be a plus for him. It should be a plus for our football team. So he made some comments about Kenneth Walker, his new toy, his new running back. Your thoughts on Andy Reid and what he's had to say about Kenneth Walker?
Yeah, my biggest takeaway was what he said about running out of the shotgun. Said he could do either. He's pretty flexible there. Couple of years ago, good out of the gun. Last year, maybe not quite as much. I think a lot of Chiefs fans are hoping that the Chiefs are going to completely alter their offense now, right? They're suddenly going to become this under center team that mimics what we're seeing having success elsewhere, the Shanahan-McVay style of offense. It's not going to happen. Like, this is Andy Reid's offense, guys. And they also have a quarterback who's going to be, 8 months removed from a torn ACL by the time that we get to the start of the regular season.
By the way, do you think he's going to be there week 1? This guy's already, of course, dropping back. Was that 3 weeks ago? How long ago was that?
Of course he's going to be playing in week 1.
Yeah,
he's a maniac. He played like 2 weeks after his knee was on sideways. I think he's probably going to play week 1. But the idea that they're then going to have him sprinting outside for a zone coming from out under center when this is not something that he's been used to for the entire of his NFL career. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do a lot of that. Will they incorporate it? Of course, they did last year as well, but it's not going to be what they major in this upcoming season. So I've been a little surprised by the number of people that are like disappointed by Andy Reid's comments that, yeah, this guy can run out of shotgun. Did you guys think they were going to change their offense for Kenneth Walker? No, they're going to run what they've always run. The difference is you now have Kenneth Walker to run it with instead of running it with the corpse of Kareem Hunt or going with the guy that was formerly known as Isaiah Pacheco in your backfield. Like that's what they're hoping on. They're betting on the fact that upgrades in personnel will upgrade the offense, not a full-blown overhaul of the offense being necessary. Otherwise, they would have, hired a different offensive coordinator and handed it over to him.
Yeah. I don't know. It is so weird to me why people feel like that that he just needs to completely rip it apart. They need to be done with it. I don't think that is the case, and to also think that he won't have new wrinkles off of it just because he's running out of shotgun. That he won't have. Like I watched them run out of shotgun. Now I do believe Seattle was under center more than any team in football, but like we'll figure this out. And they don't need him to be their best player, right? Like I think they're like they had Jackson Smith and Jigba, but they really they really knew like we have got to get a lot from him every game. Like he's got to be a major part of our offense. Like, yes, he's got to be a big part of the offense, but it doesn't mean like, hey man, we got to get this guy. He's got to get 15 to 20 touches. Like maybe if it happens that way, but you still have Patrick Mahomes on this team, and you're going to throw the football a lot. So and it may get to him in different ways, and him in pass routes is a different animal. The things I bet he's going to get used a lot more in the passing game than he has in Seattle here in Kansas City. So, I mean, I've always been against he has to shift and change things. One, because he's going to. He's done it for years. He's had to redo his offense on multiple occasions. And two, it's not just going in the trash after, they didn't make it to the Super Bowl this year, so let's go. Like, get out of here.
Everyone's just so caught up in the last 3 years because the offense got stagnant because they were basically doing the same things for like 3 years based off of the personnel that they had because it was what kind of worked until it stopped working because everybody was like, we just know exactly what you're going to do. Andy Reid has revitalized his offense multiple times as a head coach over his long Hall of Fame career. And it doesn't mean that like the principles aren't the same. You change things up, you fine tune things, you find different ways to disguise things and shape things and move the chess pieces around. And that's 100% what they're going to do this offseason. And if for some reason they don't do that, then we can have a conversation about that. But I have full faith that they are absolutely going to do that this year.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I can't wait to see what the offense looks like, and I can't wait to see what they do with this draft. I'm with you. 9. I just think 9 has to be a great Pro Bowl level player. They have got to. They're not going to get cheap, great players. They got to develop them. They've had to try to turn these picks in the 20s and the 30s into stars, and they've done pretty. I mean, they did it with McDuffie, but most of them are probably going to be the Georges. They have got to get when they get up here, whether they trade up to get somebody or they are in this spot because they won 6 games because all hell broke loose in the season. They got to find a way to get cheap, great players somewhere, and this is their shot. We are out.